Niners have won 7 in a row. You could argue they have no weaknesses. They figured it out. They'll never lose again. Still, they haven't faced Buffalo. They haven't faced Philly. They haven't faced the teams they're going to have to face down the stretch. To give themselves the best chance to win the whole shebang-a-bang, what do you think the offense still needs to work on, especially in these last 3 regular season games?
Well, as good as they are and as good as they do, I mean, the 49ers could win the Super Bowl, and I'll have things I want them to improve on. It's just the way I am. But as far as what the offense needs to work on, is the run game, in my opinion. I feel like the run game could be stronger between the tackles. They could still run Jordan Mason more, and they could do a better job of risk versus reward, minimizing certain players from injury by using them sparingly, and then, throwing out rookies, stronger players. Like Jordan Mason, to me, should be getting 10, 15 carries per game every game right now, and take a little bit of the load off of Christian McCaffrey, save him, keep him healthy for the postseason, and just in general do a better job of running the ball, yards per carry.
Yeah, I think this running game is an issue because McCaffrey's great, but I think what could happen in the playoffs is if teams shut him down as a running back, which teams have done on the Niners, then you're going to have too much on Brock Purdy. He's going to have to pass too much. He's a complimentary player making $900K. And you need to have the run game working. And I'm looking at McCaffrey, and it's not his fault, but 2.7 yards per carry against the Chargers, 2.9 yards per carry against the Saints, 3.8 yards per carry against the Dolphins, 4.1 yards per carry against Seattle. If this happens in the playoffs, they got a big problem. And the reason is not McCaffrey. It's that they can't run right. They can only run left. And in any sport, if you're one-handed, if the defense knows we don't really have to honor this side of the field, you're screwed. You're not going to be really good at running the ball. So they got to find a way to run the ball to the right. You got to make yourself balanced in the run game somehow. And I don't think it's running outside zone to the right. I mean, McGlinchey, Burford, and Kittle at the point of attack isn't scaring anyone like it used to. I think you need to run power, run between the tackles, run off tackle, use Mason. You got to find ways to run to the ball to the right. Otherwise, you're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I got another thing. How about Brunskill? They keep putting Burford in there. I understand it. He played tackle in college. He's got future. He's good in pass protection, but I always felt that Brunskill was a hell of a run blocker. And I don't exactly know why they just buried him this year. I thought he had a good year last year. He's a free agent next year. I don't really understand what's going on there. I feel like maybe go run, give Brunskill a little more run. Or
maybe
just start him.
Maybe they're thinking long-term with Burford. I don't know. That
Fair.
might be what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Trying to develop them. Maybe they think they're not that much different, so they're thinking long-term.
Probably.
But, I think run game is the number one thing the offense needs to work on. And maybe getting George Kittle involved more often. More touches for George Kittle would be big for me.
Because I think what we've seen with Purdy is once you get him in 3rd and long, I don't think he really has the arm to consistently drop back, stand in the pocket, and rip it past the first down marker the way that even Jimmy does. He's going to throw short of the sticks, or he's going to scramble around and maybe get it past the sticks, or he's going to force it past the sticks and get in trouble. That's just the way I see him right now. So I think that their whole emphasis on offense has to be staying out of 3rd and long. And with the money they spend on all these weapons and the running backs they have, they shouldn't be in 3rd and long unless Kyle gets pass happy or they commit a bunch of holding penalties. So
you know what is a statistic that surprised me, and I haven't checked it after this weekend, but I think going into the Seahawks game, Jimmy Garoppolo had more yards per attempt than Brock Purdy. But it doesn't feel like it when you're watching Brock Purdy. You feel like he's connected longer, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the completions that we're seeing versus the attempts. But I thought Brock Purdy was stretching the field more, and it seems like he is. But surprisingly, Jimmy Garoppolo had more yards per attempt.
Well, Jimmy really, really hammers that 10 to 15-yard range. He throws a lot of intermediate passes. Purdy, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like he does. It seems like he throws a lot of short passes, and he hits the deep ones too, which is kind of an interesting combination. But I haven't seen him throw the 15-yard dig route, which is what Jimmy does all the time. I haven't seen him throw a bunch of those. I haven't seen him really hit the deep out or the deep comebacks, but the pump and go, the stuff outside the numbers deep, the wheel routes, the stuff that Jimmy missed, he's hitting. So that's the way I see it. But you're right. His yards per attempt are relatively low for a Niners quarterback.
Yeah, he's actually connecting when he does go semi-deep. He doesn't go deep like Trey Lance. He's not hitting like 30-yard, 40-yard passes, but he is connecting on these 20 25-yard. Yeah. And he's doing it when he does throw them, he connects. Whereas Jimmy would throw them, but he wasn't connecting. So maybe that's the difference in the numbers that we're seeing.
I got one more thing I think the Niners should work on, and this is a tough one, but the 2-minute drill. They're always winning. You never see the Niners hurry up on offense because they usually don't have to. A few times this year, earlier in the season when Garoppolo was the quarterback, they were losing, they were down late, and they didn't hurry up on offense. And people were like, what the hell is going on? Recently, Kurt Bankert, who used to be on the Niners practice squad, isn't on a team right now, and he's doing some streaming. He was streaming during this last game, the Niners against the Seahawks, and he was talking to whoever he was on with and said that the Niners actually don't practice 2-minute drills during the week. They feel like you only have so many hours to practice things, and since they're in 2-minute drills so infrequently, it's a waste of time for them to do it. I get it. In a sense, maybe it is, but eventually you're going to need to be able to do that. So if you don't dedicate any time to it in practice, I don't know, man, maybe do some of it during the game. Find a time to work on this with your rookie quarterback and all these players who haven't played with them very much, because you're going to have to do it eventually, and you can't just not go hurry up. You can't just be like, we're going to win the Super Bowl and never be trailing the rest of the year. We're just going to get a lead in the first half, sit on people, win. Like, eventually you're not going to be able to win that way. And you have the talent to win another way, but not if you don't practice it. So the 2-minute drill. So
I think this is a story that we could look back on, and it could be a big deal, because in the playoffs, I expect things to tighten up, and they might need this 2-minute drill. And if for some reason we have a 2-minute drill, we don't do well in it, this could be a big story looking back on it, and something that the Niners end up regretting. Hopefully not. Hopefully they just, continue to beat teams by substantial amounts and it's not an issue, but it's concerning a little bit.
This was one of the things they talked about with Trey. Like, hey, Trey's not ready. He's never run a 2-minute drill. Okay, well, then this is important, right? So what was interesting was Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a 31-year-old vet and had been on the team 6 years, didn't feel like he could just do it on his own. If Kyle's not calling it, they're not doing it. With Brock, he's played a lot of football. I'm sure he's done this in college. And there was that moment in the last game where he hurried the offense up to the line of scrimmage on 4th and 7 and drew that offsides penalty that makes me feel like he just might have enough moxie and experience to do this on his own. I mean, he told George Kittle to shut up on national television. He might just tell Kyle Shanahan we're going fast right now. I hope he does. I like that about him. Because I feel like too much these days, quarterbacks are straight up robots and joysticks for whatever the coach wants to do, and they can't think for themselves. Oh, the play didn't come in quickly enough, so we took a delay. Call a damn play, dude. You're the quarterback. In the 80s, quarterbacks call their own plays all the time. And Peyton Manning did it. So anyway, I like a quarterback who can. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll just make a call. I'll make a decision. Do it, Brock.
Brock, to me, he strikes me as the kind of guy, if he for some reason is able to maintain the starting position for a year or two, he seems like he's going to be the kind of guy to transition into that level of leadership where he's like, no, Kyle, we're doing this. He seems like that kind of guy.
Some guy who actually pushes back on Kyle. And frankly, I don't think Jimmy ever did. Maybe he did privately, but I don't think he did hard enough. And I don't know. Trey was so young and he seemed like a bit of a people pleaser. I don't know that he ever did either. So Brock has this kind of like, I'm not saying he's an asshole, in a good way, the way I am. Like, I like it. I like it very much. He doesn't seem to care. It's not that he doesn't care. He seems like he understands that this is the role of a quarterback. Yeah. I got to be this kind of a leader, not because that's who I want to be, because who the team needs me to be. Even the coach needs me to be that way. I like it.
He seems like a student of the game, and he understands that most of the best, all of the great quarterbacks in the history of this game have had that about them, about their leadership. One real quick point that I want to just mention, because we hear it all the time, when it comes to Trey Lance has never led a 2-minute drive. He actually did in the first half against the Texans. Yeah,
I mean, people talked about that when he was coming out as a reason that
but
he
still
wasn't
hear
ready.
It.
Right,
yeah, you still hear people say it, and he did do it against the Texans. So I do like to.
He did it well too.
Yeah, really well. Yeah,
at the end of the first half.